Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the person who cheers for the home team, which is the Monsters.
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Keep the Heroes Out. Now, if you want to check out our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out Rolling with Two, Keep the Heroes Out. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Keep the Heroes Out is an asymmetric cooperative dungeon defense game where you play as the monsters protecting their hard-earned treasure against invading hordes of looters, these so-called heroes. And they're trying to steal it. Your goal in every scenario is just to survive the invading heroes. If the main treasure is taken, the game ends and you lose. But if you manage to protect your treasures for long enough, you'll win. All right, well, so why did we get this?
So we're always on the lookout for an interesting co-op, and this one did have a different theme in the fact that you were the monsters protecting the lair from the heroes.
Right.
It also looked cutesy, and it didn't look heavy on mechanics, because a lot of times we'll look at a co-op and the list of the rules is just enormous.
Yeah, agreed. So this just ticked a lot of the boxes, and so we gave it a try and backed the Kickstarter. Okay, so let's talk about what we like about the game, and it is highly
Customizable.
I love it. There are 3 different difficulty levels. There's like 9 different monsters that you can play as, and there's 3 different types, like what do you call
Attacker, defender, and supporter.
Right. So you have different roles that you play on the team.
Yeah.
And there's
20 scenarios.
right.
And also you can play in the Chronicle mode, which has groups of scenarios banded together, and then based on how you did, can help you unlock new abilities that are like overarching game changes for the rest of your play through the entire Chronicle.
So you can play the scenarios standalone. The lower numbers are easier than the higher numbers. You can just play each of them by themselves and they're not really related. Or this Chronicle mode kind of creates a storyline, but it's more of a meta game of trying to unlock, because like they say, like certain characters you can't play with, and then you can unlock these abilities and things like that. So that's pretty interesting that you can make this game the way you want to.
Yes.
And it looks great. I mean, it is great. This is a different type of base defense in that you're not building up your base, but you're building up your characters. So it puts the, how do I put this? The seat of power in a more movable place, it feels like.
Yeah. The base is already built, so that's static. Don't worry about that. But you can improve yourself, so you do have a hero aspect to your monsters.
Yeah. And that's very different, because I don't typically like very many what I would call tower defense games.
Well, you don't like to see it all being broken down. Like, I just built that wall. Why did you wreck it?
Yeah.
You heathen.
Now I've got to build it again just for it to be broken down again. It just, I mean.
It has that whole Sisyphus pushing a boulder up the hill for all eternity type of feel.
You feel like there's no way to get ahead. But here you are building yourself up, and I tend to prefer in co-ops what I call the heroic arc, where you start with very little and you're trying to build yourself up over time to be able to defeat the big baddie. Now there's no big baddie boss here, but you are trying. It's kind of an interesting mix of that survival, because it's wave after wave of heroes.
Yeah, and as the wave continues to the next level, then more heroes come out quicker.
Right. So it's a blend of survival and heroic cooperation, which is very unique to me. I've not played a game that's quite mixed it like this before.
Yeah, it's usually one or the other.
Right. It's usually, we also really appreciate that the calculations are low. I mean, everything in the game has like 1 hit point.
Yeah, the only things that actually don't have 1 hit point are some of your monsters.
Right.
And it's because those particular monsters, like the dragon, only have 1 meeple.
Well, we don't know about some of the later scenarios that use some special
epic heroes.
There might be eventually some heroes that have more than 1 hit point.
Yes.
But for the low level base stuff.
But it might be 2 hit points.
Yeah. It really makes it simple, because in other games it definitely feels like, okay, well this one has 5 hit points, that one has 3. So you have all these heart markers.
And that one has a status effect, so that one gets that marker.
Right.
Oh, but remember, you have this effect and aura going on. However, that's that's also applicable because this whole region has this effect going on. So then you're, doing your taxes, and by the time you're done, you realized you spent too much money.
Yeah, it just kind of sometimes gets overwhelming, and not that this is insanely simple, but it has some very straightforward concepts that do allow for some creativity, but in just a much more controlled, not so overwhelming way.
Right.
Yeah. So also the last thing I think that we just really appreciate and kind of what drew us in is just the cutesy art, the cutesy meeples. I mean, yes, you're monsters, but it's hard to get mad about that.
Yeah, and there was like monsters you can train, and Sarah's like, well, that's a spider. I don't normally like spiders, but that one's cute.
It's true. It's still slightly creepy because spiders are still always creepy to me. But it was cute. It was fuzzy. It has vibrant colors. And so I was like, yeah, I would want that as a pet in a cage somewhere away from me. But I would want that as a pet.
Yes.
All right. What do we not like about the game?
The
2-player game
is a little long.
It's a little long.
Yes. And it's because the way the deck is always set up, it's set up the same for no matter what player count.
Yeah.
And the hero deck is essentially the timer we're talking about. At the end of every player's turn, it'll tell you to flip up and resolve X number of hero cards. Yeah. Well, in a 2-player, that just takes longer when you go a whole round of players. Yeah. However, it's also a little less chaos too. So
yeah, so there's some good and bad things to it. You can watch our Rolling with 2 to see a bit more in depth on what we think about the 2-player experience. But it is still something to bring up that this is not a game that we're going to bring out too frequently just because at 2 players we know it's going to take a little bit longer than we would probably like.
Yeah.
The other thing is this is just kind of, we've had this for a while and I've been bringing it up and I'm like, come on, Will, we need to play this. It was just so intimidating.
It was a bear to organize, open up, because we had to figure out like, well, okay, these cards, none of the cards are sorted.
So some games the manufacturer, they may not print all the cards together, but they separate them and package them. So here's type A together, here's type B, or even if you have multiple card types in one card pack, it's in order. So here's all of type A and then all of type B. Here it was 4 or 5 different card types in a row, but because again, at the beginning, you're not familiar with what anything is, figuring that out was a bit of a hurdle.
Yeah, here's a stack of 90 cards.
And the thing is, because a lot of these cards get shuffled together, they all have the same back because they were all cards that you could potentially get in your hand.
Yeah.
But if you're a Knoll, you're not going to be using
Dragon's cards.
Yeah.
But so that 90 turned into 9 different stacks of 10.
Right. So it was, like I said, it was just a little intimidating at first to figure it all out and get it to the table and played. Now, though, this is going to get much easier to get to the table now that it's all sorted and things like that. So hopefully the key there is find someone who already has the game, already played it, and you just play it with them because it's already sorted.
And then if you do decide to buy it, you'll know how to sort it.
Right. All right. Who is this for?
Honestly, it's for casual gamers on up.
Yeah.
And I'd even say family gamers, provided, you have someone in there that's a gamer.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty accessible because it scales well. There might be an initial hurdle with, again, the sorting and some of the rules learning. I don't think it's overly complex.
The most complex thing is the flow chart for resolving heroes.
Yes.
However, they have a very nice graphic of how the whole flow chart works on the back of one of the booklets.
Right.
That we always have with us.
And I do believe that the rules do have a lot of sample turns and sample examples.
Yes.
So if any of the concepts are confusing, I think they do a really good job of explaining it.
Yes.
All right, let's go to our rating then.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Keep the Heroes Out roll for you?
It rolled a 5. It gave me a lot of the experience I was hoping for. This, because I typically only like the heroic style of cooperative games, Having some survival aspects mixed in was a nice, different thing for me, but it's not 100% survivor where I feel like I'm just getting beat over the head. Plus the customizability. Ooh, I said the word. We can make it as easy, as hard, as variable. We can go with a story. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways. And I know we don't have it yet, but the Boss Battles expansion is going to also add in rookies. So for a 2-player experience, we could play on the normal mode to try to get it so it's not such a long game. But the rookies don't come out as strong, so we can mix those in. So we can further make it the experience we want. And I just love that aspect.
Yes, for me, it also got a 5. It's just a tad long and 2 players.
Yeah.
The customizability of it is super important here because the idea is they want you to have fun.
Yeah.
And whatever your level of fun is, that's what they want to give to you. So they gave you all the tools in the box to do it, and they give plenty of variety so that it's not boring. And you always have something new to look forward to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I usually dread co-op games because they usually have a difficulty set at one specific thing, and that's usually not my cup of tea.
Right. And like you said, with the choices, we could play this quite a lot at 2 players, and it will be a while before we play all of the different 9 monster types.
Yes.
That is
or the 20 different scenarios.
Or the 20 different scenarios. And depending on which monsters we play, that's going to completely change the experience. So there's a lot of variety in this game that it is not going to, it's not going to get stale anytime soon.
Correct.
There you go.
10 out of 12, fantastic score. A little intimidating setup.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little long, but otherwise really great.
Really great. All right, Sarah.
Yes.
You think that heroes need to be in the tavern.
Yes.
However, what if you're a monster of the tavern? How do you keep the heroes out then?
I don't know. Wouldn't they be my best customers because they're buying all the alcohol?
But what if they're wrecking stuff?
Oh. Well, then they go to jail.
There you go. And we've been rolling with reviews. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you. Because remember, he's rolling with you.